It's kind of cool to be able to record something and then listen to it, and then you start to understand certain things about it that you didn't really see at first. So I have a song called Inga that I wrote like a month or so ago or something like that, and I was thinking I would go into it a little bit and just kind of explain the steps I took to writing it. And through doing that, I'm going to teach some stuff that you can use for writing solos and melodic lines, melodic statements, or whatever. That's a kind of a cool word, melodic statement. Sounds very like sophisticated. So, you know, when I record these things, it's usually really late at night, so I'm like kind of tired-ish. I gotta wake myself up sometimes, or just drink a lot of coffee. That helps. So the solo is broken up into 3 sections. That's the way that I say it, or 3 or 4, something like that. So this would be the first section. So that's the first section. The second section goes something like this. Then the third section would be like this. There's technically a 4th section, but those are the 3 sections that I just want to talk about for this video. So the very first one, I'm using a lot of like chromatic stuff, and for the second one, I'm using this thing called the harmonic, what is it? The symmetrical diminished scale, and mixed with chromatic stuff. Sometimes when you write a riff or a melody or something like that, it just kind of flows. It just comes out spontaneously. And other times you're like very calculated about it. And so for this solo, it was kind of like a mixture of both of those things. Those 3 parts were basically planned out. Like I knew that I wanted to do like 3 or 4 different sections of the solo. But within those parts, it was kind of like I was literally just kind of moving my fingers in a certain way, like in a general kind of way. Like I had an idea of the notes I wanted to play, but all those things I was doing, that was not specific at all. I was just like, you know, whatever. And I just did a whole bunch of takes, and I just took the one that I thought sounded the best of all 3. So when you write a solo, it's kind of interesting to look back on it later and start to kind of analyze like what you did, because a lot of times when you write something like that, you're not really in this like analytical mindset. You're just kind of like, I just want to write something and I'm going to play whatever comes out. So when you listen to it later, then you can start to kind of pick it apart, and you notice things that you didn't notice when you first recorded it, which is kind of interesting. One thing that I noticed is that the first 2 licks that I played in that solo, it was interesting because they were both going downward. So you can call it an arc. So the pitch of the notes is either going downward or it's going upward in an arc. So just for an example, this would be like a downward arc. And then like an upward arc would be the opposite of that, something like. So what I noticed is that the first 2 licks that I played were played in a downward arc, and then the third one that I played was played in an upward arc, which was this one that went like this. And then the little thing right after that is going back down, so that would go like this. So one thing that I noticed is that the first 2 licks, even though the notes are going downward, they're also kind of going up, down, up, down, up, down. So the notes aren't just going like down, down, down. As you heard, it's like they're going like, it's like going up, down, up, down. And I'm just saying that because it creates a different kind of vibe than if it were just to go down, down, down. Like, once you become clear about what you're playing and the effect that it has on people, then you can start to be more intentional about it. And so the idea of playing a melody or a solo where certain parts are going in an upward kind of motion and other parts are going in a downward kind of motion, those 2 things create different feelings in the listener and in yourself, even if you don't even realize it at first. So the fact that the third lick goes upward at first, it kind of helps to keep your attention, because you're like, oh, it was first going downward, and now it's like, oh, it's going upward again. So it kind of keeps the listener's attention more. And then right after that, it goes downward again with downward again. So it's like in this constant motion of going up and down, up and down. And one cool thing about that, in my opinion, is that it can help to keep the listener engaged. So they're not just hearing the same thing. It's like, oh, they're just going down and down and down and down. It's like, oh, he's switching things up. Oh, now he's going up. Now he's going down. It's like, it kind of keeps the listener on edge. In my opinion, that's how I see it anyway. It's kind of cool to be able to record something and then listen to it, and then you start to understand certain things about it that you didn't really see at first. And then because of that, you can be more intentional about the next time that you write a melody or a solo, because now you'll know, oh, this kind of has a cool effect to it, this has a cool effect. So you can be like, well, I want this to go in a downward arc, I want this part to go in an upward arc, you know, something that you might not have thought about at first, but now you know. So if you're getting any value out of this, then definitely press that like button and subscribe, because I post new videos every single week, kind of like artistic insights just like this, as well as performances and stuff like that. Alright, so I appreciate you watching, thanks a lot, and I will see you another time in the next video. Later.